Howdy everyone, it's me once again, the one and only Killer Dan. And today, I'm still continuing my Disney movie marathon. And yes, I'm doing one of these videos where I'm defending the princesses again. I mean, holy hell. How many videos do I have to make of this? I mean, really. You think after a while, these will start to get rather repetitive. I made it before, and I'm doing it again. So yeah, definitely the princess movies. Apparently they're being bad role models for little girls. I guess more specifically, all of the Disney princess movies that came out prior in the 1990s, such as, Snow White and the Seven Dwarfs, Cinderella, Sleeping Beauty, all the original Disney princesses. Somehow they're being bad models for little girls, which in itself is pretty ridiculous because considering the fact that, not that I'm trying to, justify sexism, but I have to disagree with that statement anyway because nowadays we have a different moral set, I guess, when it comes to society progression and whatnot. Equal rights for minorities, having equal rights for women who can vote and whatnot, and having minorities working in a CEO of a company or owning property and whatnot. These kinds of things was like what unheard of in the 1910s, 1920s. You get the idea here. So how can you be judging something that came out that long ago with today's standards? Of course, some things are not going to be the same. I mean, okay, for better or worse, just because it's more progressive doesn't mean everything's going to be all fine and dandy, sure. Because there's still some problems that need to be fixed. Yes, I'm not going to ignore this. Even today, there's still some problems to be fixed. Does this mean it's the company's fault? No. But yeah, I'm going to, this is like a little interview kind of a thing. That was like a podcast interview kind of thing where these two women be talking, and one individual will be asking, what's your favorite princess and whatnot. And of course, going to be referring to the princess movies that came out during the 1990s and 2000s. Because the older films are somehow sexist towards women, which they're not, but okay. Alright, enough of the setup, yada yada, blah 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 blah. Let's just get into it, I guess. This is so stupid. I mean, holy hell, man.
Princesses is something girls grow up with and can end up basing their lives off of what they grew up with, like how they should end up with their Prince Charming and live happily ever after.
Think of the children. Won't somebody please think of the children?
Using that argument again. Okay. What about the cross-dressers who are guys but dress them as the princesses? What about them? Funny how it's always the little girls, but never the men. It's always the little girls that's always in danger. Why can't men enjoy that? So yeah, your argument is already falling apart. Out there, that's attracted to femininity, regardless of the individual's gender. So what about that as well? So again, your argument here is really already falling apart. Look at a really masculine female individual. Some people may not find that attractive like at all because too masculine, and then having a really feminine cross-dresser might be deemed way more attractive, again regardless of the individual's gender, male or female. And then the whole Prince Charming is bogus anyway because look at the Princess Aurora from the original Disney's version of Sleeping Beauty. She didn't exactly wait around Prince Charming. Yes, Prince Charming had a role in story, sure, but that didn't exactly mean she was waiting around, just playing with her thumbs, waiting for the guy. Did you really see the movie, or just making stuff up? Showed her at the technically cosplay, I guess, but you still make the point here. It's always that the little boys gets dismissed.
Today I'm going to be interviewing a few girls on their views of Disney princesses.
I think it's genuine, but okay, whatever, I guess.
Today my first interviewee is Haley Evans. She's a sophomore at Western Kentucky University.
Oh, I'm Killer Rodan, a secret agent from the government that reviews and talks about movies on the internet. So, okay.
So, Haley, who is your favorite Disney princess and why?
Alright, I can tell you right now, it's not going to be an actual explanation. If anything, it's just a way to take stabs toward the original Disney princesses, just because. I mean, yeah, they were older, sure, but come on.
I would have to say my favorite Disney princess is Rapunzel from Tangled because I just liked how she was trying to do things for herself and then she fell in love.
Okay, that's really vague. You got that wrong, because in Tangled, yeah, there was the one dude, film writer, or Eugene. He didn't even know that she was up there. He's a wanted man. So seeing her there was a complete surprise. I mean, sure, they eventually had their little adventure. Okay, there was that. But that doesn't mean he was a Prince Charming. If anything, he was a thief. So, again, that doesn't make any sense. Attitude when the Twilight movies came out. Or even the movie Titanic. Or even the other movie, let's say, The Wedding Singer. Or even, let me see, what else? Oh, yes. A Sassy Girl. All these romanticize the fact that, men are supposed to be a certain way and they have to give up their own freedoms. And those movies like Below Her Mouth, they're trying to change up some sort of formula in some ways. And which is fine and all, but when a movie changes the formula in some ways, you don't acknowledge that. But when short movies stick to a formula, you don't bash them, go along with it. That seems really odd that you just attack Disney just because it's Disney.
Then she just tried to change herself for the guy.
Kelly, who's your favorite Disney princess and why?
I think Belle from Beauty and the Beast is definitely my favorite Disney princess. I want to say the majority of why I love her so much is just because she looks a lot like me.
Still avoiding any movies that came out during the 1950s or somewhere around there, like the original Disney princesses. When they asked what's your favorite Disney princess, they were intentionally avoiding anything that came out before the 1990s. And seeing yourself as the princess character, Belle, isn't inherently wrong, because you want to have the characters be relatable. However, the thing is that bringing other women, specifically young women, into your little interview thing here, in your podcast, seems rather manipulative, considering the fact that you're trying to make it seem like you're bringing them just to make it seem like you have a point of view. Which, of course, you just, like I just said, just taking stabs at the old Disney princesses because you don't agree with what they have done. Because you perceive the old Disney princess movies to be sexist, doesn't necessarily mean that they are. Again, true that the values of back then are different compared to now, because it's more about a progressive state of being in social norms, sure, but that's not evidence in itself to prove that those old Disney princess movies are sexist. Just because again, like I said, just because you think they are, doesn't mean that they are.
And I can really relate to her. But I just love Beauty and the Beast. It's my favorite story out of all of the Disney princess stories.
Maybe it's just me being skeptical here. Were you told to say that, or was that something you actually said? I don't know. But just because it's your favorite doesn't mean you have a point. You haven't really explained anything, really. Like, at all.
How did you see the princesses when you were younger versus now, and why are they still an important role in your life?
Jesus Christ, lady, I see what you're doing here. Again, saying it like that, wording the question in such a way, again, as a way to take stabs at the old Disney princesses.
When I was younger, I just saw the princesses as a role model, like I wanted to be like them, and now I see them as just a classic, like it brings me back to my childhood memories.
I think when I was younger, I didn't really understand their stories or anything about them. I just thought that they were pretty. And
My brutal honest opinion here, folks. I don't think none of you are understanding them now. I mean, okay, sure, your perspective when you were a kid compared to when you were much older, like when you're 18, 20, or 30, obviously it's going to be much different. That is true. But that doesn't mean you have a point. It just comes off you projecting. You're projecting your own insecurities on these characters. Oh, she's so pretty, though. I don't understand the story, but I thought they were pretty, yada, 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 yada. Granted, generally speaking, this, of course, doesn't apply to every woman, obviously, but... Or assuming that they're straight. But point being, for the most part, a lot of women out there, talk about the whole thing with falling in love with a stranger, tall, dark, and handsome, or whatever. And, he might be mysterious at first, but once you get to know him, he seems to be a better guy than you might have thought, and fall in love. And then projecting this kind of attitudes towards the movies, as if they're doing something bad, when they're not.
they just were fun to watch. But now I can really understand a lot more about them and what they stand for. And
I'm going to say that you're lying right there, because you can still do that, have a different perspective compared to when you were much younger. You can do that without projecting. That's what's coming up. You're just projecting again there.
so I really can appreciate the things that they symbolize.
Busy projections. And with the symbolism, Okay, but the original Star Wars trilogy had the pro-feminist movement. You didn't give credit for that. And then when the sequel trilogy continued this kind of trend, everybody starts complaining. Oh, it's gone woke. Oh, it's feminist propaganda. Oh, it's lesbian propaganda. Yada, yada, yada. When a Disney princess movie actually really tries to change up the formula when it comes to these types of movies, people still complain. So damn if you do, damn if you don't.
When you were younger, did you ever notice that some of the princesses were a different race? And if you did, how did you know?
Go again. But when the Disney film Frozen 2 included characters from different races, a lot of people accused it from being white guilt. And then when it comes to Dragon Age Inquisition, a lot of people accuse that game for being whitewashing. And another thing is that just because a lot of these characters are light-skinned doesn't necessarily mean that they're all Caucasian. You can be light-skinned and be from a different country. And another thing, who cares? All I really want at the end of the day is a good story, really.
Well, I actually thought all the princesses lived in Kentucky because I didn't believe that there was anything outside of that when I was younger.
Flat out lie with it. They don't live all in Kentucky. When was that a thing? Okay.
Then I realized that they're actually from different places.
No! What gave you that idea?
So I guess when I was younger, I noticed that like Jasmine was darker skin and Ariel lived in the sea.
Well, no shit.
But I didn't think anything different, just that they lived maybe in a different state.
Well, duh.
Like a southern state, they were tanner.
I just really want to show diversity in films, which is fine. But even at the end of the day, I still want to see a good story, really. That's all we really worried about. And why can't you include the LGBT, like the trans people, the bi, and whatever else? Why can't you have those as princess characters? What about that? Yeah, really.
Yes, I did notice that Mulan was from China.
There's a planet. Cars are vehicles. Beaches have sand. This is a horse. Water is wet. You use cell phones to talk to people. That's a TV.
Because she was Chinese, and
Wow, you just blew my mind. I thought she was from India, but never mind. What you gonna tell me? Ling Xiaoyu and Chang Li are also Chinese? Okay, tell me something I don't know already. Come on.
that was like a pretty big, like that's a pretty well-known place even as a young kid.
Because you point out the obvious doesn't mean you have a point. And yes, when you're around, maybe middle school or high school, you should know these places even by then. Because in schools, they're supposed to teach about different countries, different cultures, and whatnot. You don't necessarily need the Disney Princess movie to teach you any of that. Because the schools are already doing that for you. Or at the very least, they're supposed to anyway. So, okay.
I didn't think of Pocahontas as being any different, or Jasmine being any different, just that they were darker skinned.
Well, what's your point? Whoop-de-doo. You shouldn't treat anybody different just because of the color of skin. Or the fact they're from a different country. Or whatever else you can think of. Okay. Our films mostly had Asians in it. But I don't see neither of you praising these films ever. So, again, what are you getting at here?
Well, I just noticed mainly in Aladdin because where they lived, didn't look like where I lived.
I don't think when I was younger I noticed it.
Foreign to is things that as a kid you don't pick up on, but then when you're much older you suddenly do. That happens to everybody, not just you. And it can happen to any movie. You can rewatch a movie from your childhood and pick up quite a few things that you never picked up in the first place. That happens. Whoop-de-doo. At least with the older Disney princesses anyway, are bad because they're apparently racist or something. And you're trying to connect the dots some kind of way in some sort of vague notion. Bear is from England, but you don't say nothing about that. Yes, I'm including her because she was originally conceived as a princess. And not anymore, but I'm just going to bring her up anyway because of that. So, this character has been around ever since Walt Disney was alive. So this character is quite old at this point. And she's been pretty much a staple of the Walt Disney Company, just like Mickey Mouse. Again, funny how you don't bring this character up at all. Oh, yeah, right. It will go against what you're trying to say here. Isn't that right, huh?
But I'd say that I definitely like notice those things now.
Of course you're gonna pick it up now. You're a lot older. You're not 8, you're not 2, you're not 4 anymore. Of course, once you hit 13, 14, 15, somewhere around there, you start to realize certain things. That's fine. But that doesn't mean that the old Disney princess movies are all bad.
I mean, it doesn't. I guess when I was younger, I wasn't as aware of racial differences as I am now.
Do I have to repeat myself what I just said? Of course. When you're younger, you're not totally aware of everything. At all. If anything. Why Snow White, as in the character, the princess, was actually German. So, again, I don't see you bring this up at all. Because I know it will go against what you're trying to say here. Which makes what you're saying not very sincere. At all. Princess Aurora from Sleeping Beauty originated from the country of France. Alice from the original Alice in Wonderland. Yes, she was originally considered a princess. Not anymore, but point being, she was also from England as well. Many fans consider this character as an unofficial Disney princess, but point being, she's from Greek. And again, I don't see you bringing that up at all. It's reported that the character Jane could be often debated to be a princess or not. But point being, she's English. As in English. And again, I'll keep repeating myself here. You don't bring that character up at all. So there's already diversity within the princess character.
Disney princesses have been role models since the first princess created in 1928.
Wrong!
They continue to be role models for girls who grew up with them.
Project all of your morality into one fictional character, okay, in this case fictional characters, then that speaks more about you than it does with the movie. Having some sort of special message in the film, animated or otherwise, isn't inherently wrong, but in that case, why can't you just use the Prince Charming characters as role models for boys? Why does it just have to be little girls? Again, this has so many holes.
The way the roles have changed from being younger to now are significantly different, but
No shit.
still have life lessons you can learn from.
Well, that's the last bit of it, folks. And I still don't know what they're talking about. They're trying to encourage, it's like they're trying to encourage girls, but they're not, but then they are, but then they're not. I mean, just because they point out the obvious doesn't mean they have a point. Yeah, obviously the old Disney princess movies are different compared to those that were from 1990s and the 2000s, but that doesn't mean the old Disney princesses are bad in any kind of way. I mean, this goes for any company. Any company, the film company should change, even if they made a lot of good movies, because tastes of movies change, and they should change. Yeah, business-wise, this makes sense. Look at Circuit City. They couldn't change. I don't know what happened to them. They went out of business. Thing with Toys R Us. Yeah, they keep having the same kind of thing going on, and they eventually changed. And look at Hollywood Video. Hollywood Video didn't really change all that much, and they were terrible at it, and they closed down. What happened with Blockbuster? It's what you call stagnation. So it's okay to change and whatnot. But none of this means you have a point. This does not mean you have a point at all. You're just pissing all about. I swear, none of this makes any sense. Give me a break here. Anyway, as always, thanks for watching and take care. Until next time, see ya.